I don't know the exact words like verbatim, but it said something about how once you start lifting weights or once you start bodybuilding or something like that, you're never big enough. And it's so true. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Muscle Mindset Podcast. I hope you all are doing incredible. I'm doing pretty darn well, if you ask me. My name is Trevor Carroll. I'm the host of the show. In this episode, I'm going to be sharing my struggle with body image and how I think the fitness industry can actually make this struggle worse. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's get the show started. So guys, this is just a complete one take. No notes I'm going off of here, just my thoughts, me rambling onto my microphone here. So I'm just going to start. I'm going to start by go ahead and sharing like my story and like my struggle with body image growing up as like a young teenager and stuff. So I actually like don't know when it exactly started. I want to say maybe middle school, maybe late elementary school. Let's say late elementary school. I wasn't the thinnest of kids. I definitely wasn't obese. I just had a little chub on me. Nothing too crazy. I mean, I was a child. Obviously, I'm going to grow out of that. But I think at that point, I was like, dang, Trevor, you need to lose weight. Like, I was maybe in 5th or 6th grade there. And I was already thinking about wanting to lose weight. Like, what the hell? That's ridiculous. So because of that, like, chub, I noticed that other kids my age were much thinner than me. And I just wanted to look like them because I was young. I didn't know who I was. I lacked complete self-confidence. And for many, this is such a hard time in people's lives, like middle school and stuff, because you're finding out who you are. You don't know who you are. You don't know who you want to be. And you're just going off of everyone you see around you. And everyone around me was thin. They looked good. And I was the not fat kid, but I definitely wasn't skinny. So I think that's kind of what sparked it. And from there, it just got worse. I became addicted with doing cardio, tracking calories and macros, making sure that I was eating enough to lose weight, to the point where I was extremely skinny. Not to the point of anorexia, nothing like that, nothing of a diagnosed eating disorder, but I struggled with food, I struggled with body image. Guys, I ran like 14 miles every day, and I just wasn't giving my body the nutrition it needed. So, simple science, if I'm burning a lot of calories, I'm not eating enough calories, I'm going to lose weight. And I got to the point where I was extremely thin. And in my mind, I saw still that chubby kid from elementary school. And it was hard. Like, everyone around me was like, dang, you're so thin, you should try to put on some weight. And in my eyes, all I saw was the same old chubby kid. I didn't even notice the difference. And this body dysmorphia is a huge thing, and it's so real among many people. And guys, I was only in middle school when all this was happening. So I went from being probably honestly average size, to me it was chubby, to super thin. And I was restricting calories. I wasn't eating enough food, especially at such a young age. Like, you're growing, you need to get all that nutrition that you can. And I just wasn't giving that to myself. And this led to many more problems. So think about it. I'm restricting calories. I'm doing good all day, eating only clean foods that I would see on Instagram. #clean eating, which is completely ridiculous, by the way. And I only ate fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nothing processed. It was ridiculous, to the point where it was extremely obsessive. Now, I understand if you're trying to eat healthy, that's totally awesome. But at some point, there's that distinction between eating healthy and then eating extremely healthy to the point where it's not healthy anymore, which is the point where it becomes obsessive. That's where I was. And if you think about it, I'm restricting all these calories, I'm restricting foods that I was craving, and once again, I'm only in 7th or 8th grade, and I need the nutrition that I'm not giving myself. So this led to many nights where I was just like, okay, screw it. I'm just going to go in the pantry, eat whatever I can. And this obviously isn't healthy either. So I would restrict my calories all day. I would eat maybe like oatmeal for breakfast, an apple or a banana for lunch. And then I don't even know what I'd have for dinner. Not pasta, because that's not healthy according to my mind back then. Not steak, because it has too much fat. Like, I don't even know what I was eating. Probably like chicken breast and broccoli or something like that. I wouldn't even have rice because it had too many carbs, in my opinion, back in the day. So that's all I would eat all day. I wouldn't have sugary drinks. I'd only be drinking water. And it was so obsessive, and it wasn't healthy to the point where at nights I don't want to use the word binge, because once again, I wasn't diagnosed with anything, and obviously people struggle with this way worse than I have. But I would go into the pantry, I would eat all kinds of food, I would eat ice cream, cookies, all kinds of dessert, chips, everything that I was restricting, because during the day I wouldn't eat any of that. So my struggle with body image led to a struggle with food, and overall it was just an unhealthy situation. I became obsessive over what I was eating. I became obsessive over what I looked like. And guys, this isn't healthy. And so many people struggled with this. They still struggle with it. And I think one of the issues with struggling with body image is social media, because social media, people post highlight reels of their life. They post the best looking pictures. They sometimes Photoshop it to make themselves look thinner or more muscular, and it just isn't real. And coming from like a middle schooler, like I didn't know that. I thought that was real, and that's all I was exposing myself to was fitness addicts and stuff like that. And it wasn't healthy. So that brings me on to my next point. So that was kind of like the introduction to this, what I've been through with struggling with body image. Now, once again, people have struggled way, way worse than I have. I wasn't diagnosed with an eating disorder or anything, but it was definitely obsessive and definitely unhealthy, and you don't need a doctor to tell you that. So this was around when I was 14, 15, and things have gotten a lot better since then. I realized that, you have to eat to nourish your body. You have to eat to give your body what it needs. And a lot of times it is what you're craving. So now that we're past that portion of my life, just kind of sharing my story there, I want to fast forward a couple years to now where I'm 17, almost 18, and I still struggle with body dysmorphia. Obviously not to the point of where I was back in the day, but now that I'm starting to lift weights, I want to grow muscle, I want to get bigger, I'm exposing myself to all kinds of giant dudes on Instagram who have been lifting for 10 plus years, where I've only been lifting for 2 years. Obviously, I'm going to be a lot smaller than they are, but I feel like my body isn't good enough, and it's really freaking hard, guys. Another issue with this, too, is fake natties, people who don't say they're using steroids but actually are. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to get into steroid usage right now, but I I don't disagree with it. I would never do steroids, but I don't disagree with it. It has its place. For me, I never use them. I'm not going to talk about steroids right now, other than the fact that on social media, people portray themselves as natural bodybuilders when they aren't. Like, they've been lifting for 1 year and they already have more muscle mass than someone who's been lifting for 5 or 6 years. And that's another issue too, especially for people who don't realize that they are using juice, that they are using steroids. I can just see how like a novice bodybuilder is going to look at that and be like, damn, my gains aren't showing. I guess my hard work isn't paying off, when it actually is. And you just have to look at the big picture. I saw this thing not too long ago that said, I don't know the exact words like verbatim, but it said something about how once you start lifting weights, or once you start bodybuilding or something like that, you're never big enough. And it's so true. I think part of it is good, to where the point where you're going to push your body to achieve the goals that you want with it, but it can also be bad because you're never going to look at yourself and appreciate the progress that you've made, because you're always wanting to be bigger, because that dude you follow on Instagram is 3 times the size you are, and you want to look like him. Now, a point I want to make here is how much muscle you have on your body does not determine who you are. Like, flat out, if you're a huge bodybuilder or some lanky kid, it doesn't determine who you are. Your personality determines who you are, and that's something that is really important, because I think once people start working out and they start comparing themselves to other people who are lifting weights too, many of whom have been lifting for a lot longer than they have, that's all they care about. And getting bigger is not going to make your life better. It's not going to make your life easier. It's something else about you, where if you're skinny, there's probably other traits about you that make people like you just as much as they would if you had a bunch of muscle mass on you. Another point I want to make is, don't believe everything you see on Instagram or any social media for that matter, because people who post pictures of themselves, we're mainly talking about like bodybuilding right now, but this works for other types of fitness, and even just not fitness at all, but models who share pictures of themselves on Instagram. People use the best photos of themselves. I do it too. Like, I'll take 30, 40 pictures and I'll choose one to post on Instagram. And for many other people, they post like their best angle. If they're showing themselves flexing, they're going to use a filter that puts more shadow on them to make it look like their muscles are bigger. And just remember, guys, that this isn't true to who they are. This isn't real life. And don't get me wrong, there are some people on social media who do share their real lives, and I appreciate those people so much. But for the majority, a lot of people on social media are only sharing highlight reels from their lives. They're showing the best things they've done, when in reality, deep down, they aren't happy. They aren't who they portray themselves to be on social media. And if you're new to lifting, or you struggle with body image like I have, you see these people and you're like, what the hell? Like, I'm putting all this hard work in and I'm not seeing results like these people are. When in reality, you have to compare yourself with yourself, like your previous self, and pay attention to the progress that you've made there. Another issue with body dysmorphia in the bodybuilding industry is, when you're comparing yourself to yourself, if you're always looking in the mirror every day, you're not going to notice gains. You're not going to see an increase in muscle size, because the process is super slow. And when you're looking at yourself every day, you're not going to notice the difference over time. that's why I think it's so important to take progress pictures and focus on looking at it in the long run, comparing yourself to where you are now to 6 months ago, a year ago, a couple years ago, and pay attention to the progress there, not the progress from looking at where you are now to maybe like a week ago, because you're not going to see a difference. And especially in your eyes, you're going to look a lot different than you are to other people, just based on your perception and how your confidence levels stack up. So I hate for this podcast to be all about me, but I just wanted to share kind of my struggle with body image, how it's gotten better and how it's gotten worse when I started lifting. I hope some of you guys can relate. If not, hopefully it was just some good entertainment for you. If you have any questions or you have any comments, anything you want to let me know, feel free to email me. My email is trevorkcarroll@gmail.com. That's TREVOR, the letter K, CARROLL @gmail.com. My Instagram is @TrevorCarroll, Twitter @TrevorKCarroll. And guys, if you liked the podcast, please comment or please leave a review on iTunes. If you didn't like it, please leave a review on iTunes. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear what I can improve on. I want to hear what you liked about it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.